give this information about React. So we can just get started, right?
Right, go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. So can you see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Oscar Orlando Gamboa Acho. I'm from Cochabamba, Bolivia. I'm part of the Incora team here in Bolivia. Actually, I'm a backend developer of Magento and also for React.js. I've been working on this with this technology for at least for 4 years. I have this experience for this because I have been working on many projects from this. But here I would like to present this interesting thing about React.js, also with Docker, and it's about the SSL certifications. Actually, in order to start with this, I would like to ask, what is React.js? Actually, React.js is a library, is a JavaScript library in which uses we can build user interfaces. It's agile, versatile, and fast than other frameworks, just like Angular, Vue.js. Actually, React.js is composed by many components. You can you can use HTML with JavaScript together, just like a mix, because it's made by JSX. And it's also, you can work with React.js in order to build mobile apps. It's not just with a web application. You can use in order to program and develop web mobile apps. And React.js is constantly being updated. You can have many updates with the pass of the days, with the pass of the months. Actually, I've been working with React with versions of 16 and 17. Actually, there are many contributions to this library nowadays. Another thing I would like to show is, first of all, there's a short web app that I have here. It's called, just give me a second. Yeah. Okay, there is this web app that I have here as an example. It is working on my local system. Actually, this is a basic one that I have for example. It is just the code that I have here is just a basic one, which is showing my personal information, just like my last name, birthday. Actually, this is a component that we have here in React. And this information that I have here is another component. And the other one is a component. Each data that I have here showing, it's only a component. And what about this box? It's another component. What React does is that we have a component composed of many components. It's just like a tree, because it's something interesting how React organizes your project based on components, because it is also interesting, and that's what I like from React. There's a lot of components that I have here, and also from this status, for example, in this case for status, it's a component, and this information that I have here, for example, single, is another component. And as you can see, there are many components that is working here, and I have worked on this with this short example that I have here. I'm going to apply in order to show about how it's going to work also with Docker. What about Docker? Docker is based on containers, makes our work more simple. There are a lot of images that you can share with other people, but what is an image? It can be operating system, an OS system, program, software, could be a tool that we can use. A container takes a part of the app on a service. It's it makes the implementation more easier for us, because it's something that we can build something very easy, and we can have some advantages thanks with Docker. But there is a difference between that we have found in Docker, And we can have this relation between virtual machines and containers. What's the main difference here? I guess if you know something about Docker, you have seen this example for this, all right? For example, containers use less resources than virtual machines, because virtual machines use a lot of resources that maybe can be something expensive for our machine. Because with containers, we can run many services as you want. For example, for Nginx or Apache, you can run many services, but you only need a port. What's the meaning of port? For example, take a look at this command. This is a service for MySQL. When you want to run a Docker service, you need to run using a port. There's a port of your machine that from the local system, for example, and there's another one for the container port. That's from the container. You need to connect these two in order to run this service. And what do you need from this MySQL service? For example, you need a password, and also you need a volume. What's the meaning of this volume? The meaning of this is that you need to, for example, you have created your own database, and this database is working on your container. But what about if I'm going to stop this service? Is it going to disappear my database? The answer is no. When you run this service with the volume, all the information that you are going to store from your on your database is going to store on this volume, Powerlib MySQL. And then when you are going to reboot your service, or maybe you're going to start later your service for MySQL, it's going to appear your database because it was stored in this volume. And also we have the service that, as I have been mentioning about MySQL, and there's one detail here. There is the version that we can call this, it's called tag. What is a tag? It is pointing to a version of your service that you have. For example, you can have a MySQL version 8 or MySQL version 5.7, but in this case, we can call it tag. Okay, so for this Docker, maybe it can sound like a nightmare because this is a huge command. You can get wrong something, and maybe you can find some issues between a large command. But we have a huge advantage here. We have found here Docker Compose. What is Docker Compose? Runs a multi-container Docker applications. And there's two specific files that you will need here. For example, you'll need here a file in order to run many services that as you're going to need for your server. And this is going to use a YAML file to configure your application services. And with a single command, you can create and start all services from your configuration. That's what Docker Compose does. That's a good advantage that you can have in order to use better your Docker services. Who can use Docker, the Docker Compose? Developers, QAs, and also DevOps. But in order to start using Docker Compose, you need an account from Docker Hub. What is Docker Hub? It's a repository registry service provided by Docker Inc. And as you can see, it is being used by developers, QAs, DevOps, because there are many services that you can find. For example, repositories like GitLab, GitHub. Also, there are many tools like Shippable. Also, there's OpenStack, Red Hat. Also, operating systems like Ubuntu, CentOS, Red Hat, as you can find, Amazon Web Services. That's pretty awesome from Docker Compose, because I'm going to show you here. This is my account from Docker Hub. As you can see, there's a container in which I have built for myself. And also, for example, there is this one, Identity React, in which contains this with this web app application. I'm going to show you later how is this working. So continuing with this, I told you that we are going to need two files. First of all, is a Docker file. The Docker file over here, as you can see, is using a Node.js service in which is using a directory called app. For example, I'm going to copy two files from React. The package JSON is going to be moved, it's going to be copied to the app directory, and then I'm going to install all the dependencies that I'm going to use it. I need these dependencies in order to run my React.js application. And then I'm going to move the rest of the files, for example, the rest of the files, the components, the CSS, the JS, the index file, the rest of all the files that React.js needs in order to run my web application. And after that, I'm going to build my application. And also, that's not enough, because I'm going to need my Nginx service. What's Nginx? It's like Apache. It's a service that service that I'm going to need in order to run my web app application. And also I'm going to move the build application and move it to user share Nginx HTML, and then I'm going to run it. And there's a Docker Compose file, as you can see, that's the YML file that I have here. And this is a short one. I'm going to use the service identity. I'm calling identity, and this is using the image that you can find here is the 05K4 Oscarin, for example, is identity React. It should be identity React in this case, because I'm using here in this case. And then I'm going to connect the port of my server with the port of the container, and these both are the number 80. So in this case, I'm going to connect both the container and my local system. And what's next? There's the SSL. For the SSL, it activates the product. Here we are going to activate the protocol that we have here for the HTTPS security, and also here we are going to have the certification in order to for the domain server, for the name of, we are going in the SSL certification, it contains the name of the domain and the server. And also, what's the detail here? The HTTPS protocol is going to protect the data servers, improves the position of our page, and gives more confidence to the client. Actually, for the developers, we will need the HTTPS certification in order to put our web application to the test. Maybe there are some requirements that maybe our code should be working for security reasons in order to put this work. Maybe there's something that needs to be working for these security reasons. And that's why we need the HTTPS for this case. And it's also going to encrypt all the connections that we are going to show to you. All the information to the user is going to be encrypted to our server. That's why the SSL certification is being very useful in this case. So there's a concept that I'm going to show you. Is the lesson script. The lesson script is a free certification provided and developed by the Internet Security Research Group. It's the ISRG. And I'm sorry for the Spanish. It's here saying that it obtains automatically a certification trusted by the browser. And the main goal here is to have connections encrypted by the World Wide Web, and it reduces the complexity of the TLS encryption setup and maintenance. So what am I going to do here is going to put it to the test, the Nginx from one hand, and on the other hand, I'm going to use the lesson script. Both this both is going to work at the same time. And in this case, the HTTPS, the SSL certification is going to be working. Please take consideration of the following, the URL https mi espacio.digital. In this case, we're going to put to the test this URL. If you want, you can check this right now. This URL is not working. It's not working yet because we need to connect our web app application on our server to the lesson script. All right. I'm going to ask to you, I'm going to request that please you need to scan this QR code. This is going to take you to the repository for the SSL, for the generator for SSL certifications. This repository that you're going to have is going to be useful to have in order to download the project in order it is store the SSL certification generator. It's very important in order to use this. I'm going to show you in my own server. I'm going to go there. And over here, I think I'm going to just give me a second. Okay, cool. So actually, the QR code is going to download this project in which contains the Docker Compose YML and the lesson script. It is very important in order to have this repository in your servers. So right now, there's no process in which it is running right now in my server. So in this case, I'm going to put it to a test. First of all, I'm going to make this case Docker Compose up. I'm going to I'm going to put it to a test this lesson script functionality. Docker Compose up -f lesson script. Just give me a second. Yeah. All right. And Docker Compose YML up -t. All right. So right now, the SSL certifications are running, are being generated. But there's one more thing. My project is already here, all right, in my own server. But there is no code React.js. What I only need is the Docker Compose YML. Why is that? Because at the beginning, as you can see, here in my local, I have only the code in which I have been working on. But there's one command in order that you need to push all this code to your own container. And it is called Docker Compose. It's Docker push the name of the container in this case, and that's all. Because on your, for example, I'm going to cancel this. Okay. For example, if you want to run this, you want to push this code to your container, is Docker push. For example, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it. Oh, sorry. Just give me a second. I think I'm going to have only the I see. Okay. Okay, it's Docker push. Okay, what am I doing here is pushing all this code to my own repository, to my own container. So right now, I have to check this. I'm going to refresh this container. And you will see that it has been pushed a few seconds ago over here in our operating system, Ubuntu. Now that I have the last updates here, I'm going to pull the content Docker compose pull. All right, it is done. So right now I'm going to write Docker compose up minus D. Okay, so in this case, right now it is running. I'm going to verify if the SSL certifications are running. For example, in this case, it's HTTPS mi espacio digital. And as you can see, it is running because it is responding as 200. Could you please take a look of the URL HTTPS mi espacio digital, and you will see it is running as expected. I have here, it is running. You have to, could somebody please confirm if on your cell phone, is it running on your computers? Is it working for you? Okay. As I can see here, as you can see, to recap, what I have done here is just push all the changes that I have here in my local system in order to update my own container. For example, in this case here. After that, in my own server, I had to do the Docker pull, and then I run the Docker compose up, and that was it. That's a good advantage that I have here, because I don't need to buy an SSL certification because it's something that takes a lot of time. And this is a simple process that I have here with Let's Script. With this repository that I have available in order to run this information and just put it to the test my project with the SSL certification. Maybe this could be used in order to show to our clients in maybe an emergency situation, in order to show how our page is working with the SSL certification. This is a good advantage, and this is in a quick time you can do this. All right, so that was it. In this case, I don't know if you have some questions. I'll answer to you.
Mr. Gamboa, the thing is that many of the spectators are on streaming, so some of them are not here. So that might be that questions must be available later, and I'll let you know. We'll let you know about them.
Sure. Okay, cool. So I think continue with this. If you have some other questions, also you can ask me to my social media, in my Twitter account, in my Facebook account, and also in YouTube, because I have provided some other videos that I have that I'm publishing on YouTube, also with Magento also. So in this case, you have some other questions, you need more information about lesson script with React.js, I will answer to you and give you more information about this. So I just want to take this opportunity, to ask, you want to be part of the Encora team here in Bolivia, and also if you are in another country, you can send an email to talent acquisition CSA at Encora.com. I will answer you as soon as possible. I would like to say and give special thanks to Miguel Cantillana. He's in Santiago de Chile, and with him, we have been working on this case of lesson script with React.js, and we are continuing with this work. So thank you very much for the opportunity. Marco, I'm back to you.
Thank you so much to you as well. And we'll probably submit this information, especially the contact information, to the majors of international trade. And there is another customs administration, which probably would be very interested in getting into all the knowledge and that you provided, and also the way to get and have this opportunity you are offering. Thank you so much for your participation.
Thanks. Thank you. And also, don't forget, you need